33 men will be left alone to do their business. Sam Posey, time for you to begin talking about the competitive aspects. How do you see the race?
Well, I think the first question, we just saw a shot of Mario standing there. Can he make it through the pack unscathed? That's the first thing. I know from talking to him, he is prepared to take exceptional risks. He just knows at this stage in his career, first is really all that means anything to him. And interesting, the contrast between him at that pool yesterday doing absolutely nothing and the violence of what he's about to attempt. It just sticks with me. We'll have an isolated camera in a crane following that. We'll talk about the two favorites in just a second, but there are 5 men in this race who have never won the race who have a very, very good shot at it today. Emerson Fittipaldi, the Brazilian former world driving champion who led this race here last year, good shot. His teammate, Kevin Cogan, who won the opener this year at Phoenix, very, very confident man all of a sudden, Kevin Cogan. Michael Andretti, just as loose as you can get, starting from the front row. We've seen him in the interview. He is unencumbered, it seems, by any pressure other than to just get out there and have a good time, as he might, given his age. Bobby Rahal, the man with the briefcase. You know, he has the kind of mind that I think is suited to today's racing, calculated, a strategist of the first water. And finally, little Al Unser, who is going to win this race someday, Jim, and who knows, it might be today.
Why not his father, Al Unser Sr.?
Well, I think that car, which has an unproven engine as well as chassis, has a good chance to run the distance. It's entered by the Penske team. But frankly, in an effort to run the distance with the Chevrolet engine, I wouldn't be surprised if the whole thing isn't a little bit detuned. I'm not sure he'll be right on the pace.
Okay, so if it comes down, as I know it is your instinct to believe it will, to a mano between Mears and Sullivan, which of the two do you think you'd most like to be right now?
Do you have a coin?
I've been trying to reach for one and haven't been able to get it out of my pocket.
I believe Rick Mears is the better driver of the two, more experienced certainly on the ovals. But things can happen in a 500-mile race, and it may easily be that it's a battle between the two, and I just wouldn't want to make a choice.
All right. We will see as the race develops. Jim McKay, some very big moments are coming up.
No question about that. Let's take a quick break and come back.
We have held hands across America.
Okay, back at Indianapolis again. A look at the crowd. We've had the invocation, and the clergyman who gave it after a very moving invocation ended up by saying, "And please God, no more rain until tomorrow." Now the playing of
We
taps.
remember the true meaning of Memorial Day as we pause here in a moment of silence to pay homage to those individuals who have given their lives unselfishly and unafraid to make it possible for us to witness as free men the world's greatest sporting event. We also pay homage to those men who have given their lives unselfishly and without fear to make racing the world's most spectacular spectator sport.
It's difficult to separate your emotions here from taps to the start of the race with all its attendant excitement and danger. But then this is Mid-America, which inspires varied emotions itself. This is the land that inspired Theodore Dreiser to write his disturbing book, An American Tragedy. It is also the country that moved Dreiser's brother, known professionally as Paul Dresser, to write the nostalgic song On the Banks of the Wabash, which was played here earlier this morning. A British newspaper yesterday quoted a sociology professor saying that Indy represents what the U.S. is all about and stands for in the world, power and control. I would suggest that it represents the Americans' quest toward the frontier, in this case, the frontier of speed, combined with a childlike need for roots, for security. That's a need, I think, that will be summed up here in a matter of seconds for us in the traditional singing of Back Home Again in Indiana. It will be sung for us by John Davies, the artist-in-residence of the Indianapolis Opera Company.
The artist-in-residence from the Indianapolis Opera, John Davies, singing the traditional Back Home Again in Indiana.
And still the emotions continue to churn and build here. There is pleasure, extreme pleasure, basking in the sun of a late spring Indiana day, but there's still the tension of waiting and waiting and waiting. And now the balloon's going up to signal to the surrounding countryside that it's almost time for that cry. The one that was uttered for so many years by the man who made the Speedway, Tony Holman. Today it will be said by his widow, Mrs. Mary Holman.
We have arrived.
That time.
Most of the people on their feet. The cars are obviously in line now. The drivers poised and ready. The engines will actually be started by crew members
At the time,
in the back. No self-starters in these. And now the moment has arrived for the traditional cry.
And here, against the traditional cry, is the chairman of the board of the
Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Mrs. Tony F. Holman.
And so the sound of the engines dominates the scene now, but the real story is inside the car, inside the helmet, inside the racing coverall. The story is in the fingers tensed inside the glove, the race plan waiting in the mind since last Sunday, the small fear that gnaws at the most courageous spirit. The real story is inside the 33 men who are about to race at Indy. That's Rick Mears, twice a winner here. Now on the comeback trail at age 34, conscious that he has the fastest car in Indianapolis history under him. Conscious, too, of the pain that still lingers in his feet and legs long after the accident that almost ended his career. Mears on the inside of row one. Next to him, Danny Sullivan, the defending champion. The swinging bachelor image is left to the public relations man now. This is 36-year-old Danny Sullivan, who used to sleep in the back of his car out to prove that last year's victory was no fluke. Rounding out the first row, this is 23-year-old Michael Andretti, aware of the two experienced champions inside him on the front row. Not a rookie trying to blaze a new trail, but a son trying to expand the family tradition. A tough job for anybody at best. Moving back to the second row, there's old Al Unser at age 46. He's the opposite of Michael, a three-time champion here. He tries to win one more to tie A.J. Foyt's record of 4 victories, and he's not unaware that his son sits in the row behind him, Al Unser Jr. Somewhere back there, old A.J., as we mentioned, he'll have to charge from the back, and it is his habit. It is his wont. And the same is true of Mario Andretti, way back there in the 10th row, remember. And Andretti trying to win his second Indy 17 years after he won his only one in 1969. It appears that all the cars have gotten started. That's always the first item of business here. And they are, oh, whoops, wait a minute. Let's see, who do we have there? Tom Steva's car. Now, underway. Yep. always seems to be somebody who almost gets left there, and this time, Tom Sneva. So there they are.
America loved Teddy. Jim Lapley along with Sam Posey, and we are back now as the cars are on the track, and all 33 of them complete the first of 2 parade laps. There will be another parade lap after this. It takes place at the extremely docile speed of about 70 to 80 miles per hour. Then a pace lap during which the cars will speed up to about 120 miles per hour. And if they are in proper order, at the end of the pace lap, neatly fitted into their 11 rows, then they will get the green flag that signifies the beginning of the 1986 Indianapolis 500. Sam Posey, this is a last opportunity for the drivers to collect themselves, to feel the cars under them, some of them moving back and forth, as you can see there, to warm up their tires. A last opportunity to really begin to sense what it's going to be like to start this race.
Well, at this moment, you're really 2 people emotionally. One wants to react to all this and to let it really wash over you that you're in the Indy 500. The other part of you is that rather tough, unemotional person that you have to be to have gotten here in the first place. I can remember warming up the tires, and you saw a couple of the cars do zigzagging back and forth, checking the gauges, and crying all at the same time.
You see them going by the huge grandstands which flank the front straightaway. The cars at the front of the pack are now into turn 1, and now you see them coming out of turn 1 into the short chute at the south end of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and toward turn 2. We have 3 race cams installed in cars. We're going to take a look right now at the view from the camera mounted in Danny Sullivan's car. That is the way it looks for someone in row 1. Sullivan has dropped just a little bit in back of Rick Mears and Michael Andretti, and now he moves back up between them. Our second race camera is mounted in the car of Ed Pym. Ed Pym, who was a rookie last year, is driving in the 4th row, and that's how it looks to be Ed Pym at this moment on the inside of row number 4. Emerson Fittipaldi and Johnny Rutherford are to the outside of Pym as he begins to first feel the car perform. And finally, our third race cam is mounted in the car of Roberto Moreno of Brazil, and he is all the way back in row 11. That's how it looks to be at the very back of the pack, just in front of Moreno, and to his right, the red car belongs to Mario Andretti. Not that one which just darted into the picture on the right, but the one farther up there is Andretti's. And here, once again, a look at the point of view of one Danny Sullivan.
Well, you know what's going through his mind, and it's all focusing on the start, Jim, because those front row guys, each one of them would like to lead, not just for the prestige, not just for the fact that there's $25,000 riding on the 10th lap, incidentally, the leader of the 10th lap, but primarily so that they won't experience the turbulence and buffeting that you experience if you're following closely behind another car. They just would like to be in the clear.
Now the cars turn back onto the front straight. See them moving out of turn 4 onto the front straight, and as they come toward us this time, we expect the pace lap to begin. On the pace lap, the cars speed up to 120 miles per hour.